I just want to mention that our roast beef supper, we done quite well, and the men's group decided to pay for the washroom downstairs. It was $3,085, and we donated $3,000 to help pay for the men's group. Thank you very much.
Yes, I want to alert your attention to this little insert in the bulletin about PA Day. The first PA Day that we're having here is on the 20th, Friday the 20th. I have some registration forms here. We need to know as soon as possible, parents, if you're going to make use of this service, because if you're not, we're going to open it up to the wider community. All right? This is a trial one. We have a perception that it is a need, but we're not sure. So if you would please, these registration forms are here, right here on the altar. And if you would take one and fill one out, get in touch with the office, do whatever you need to do to let us know of your intentions. We're getting pretty excited. Our planning team is gung-ho. We have a lot of talent, and it's going to be a great and exciting day. So we hope you'll sign up.
No further announcements? Yes. Ladies, come on up.
Good morning and happy Thanksgiving weekend. Ann and I are back again, and we have another great bake and craft sale for you downstairs after church. All proceeds will go to our mission trip to Ecuador. Thank you.
What a dynamic team, eh? Okay. Now, we're going to our special events and birthdays, anniversaries, and that. I have some news, though. Miss Piggy went for a spa treatment over the and she was having such a great time, she forgot to come, didn't she? Yeah. So, she did leave behind her little trough, though, so she's going to attend the day rather than this. So we have a volunteer to help us out today. I knew you would come. All right, you got Miss Piggy's little trough there. Okay. To start off.
This is for my brother's 60th birthday, and my daughter came home for Thanksgiving. Morning, everyone. Our granddaughter Audrey is 4 tomorrow. Rick is considerably older than 4 tomorrow, and our own Sidney McGee is ambassador. Good morning, happy Thanksgiving. We're celebrating our 43rd wedding anniversary on October 12th.
All right, another great grandson. Whoa! Whoa!
I'm happy to have our daughter Lori with us this morning, and I too am happy that Sidney is the new ambassador.
If you didn't know, at the fair yesterday, the truck went to Thornton again this year, and it's, I think his name, Charles, last name, but I can't think of it right now. Anyway, 2 years in a row at Thornton.
Wow. Okay. Awful. Somebody down here.
I was going to mention for Sidney McGee, she's ambassador, and my granddaughter, the second runner-up.
My CD is back from another trip.
Whoa! Almost over.
Nope.
I would just like to welcome Marion back here. Wonderful to see you.
Okay, before you were here. Mary.
It's so good to be back in my church. This is for Audrey and Rick.
One here.
I'm thankful that my sister Barbara was able to join us at church today. She's visiting from Bayview United Church in Toronto.
Good morning, and I'm very happy to be here and joining in your service. This is
was a wonderful idea for our sister and brother-in-law on their 41st wedding anniversary, a nephew and his wife on their first anniversary, and a niece on her birthday.
So this is for Anna and Crystal. I want everybody to remember to go downstairs. You're having your sale today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So please remember, I want to celebrate all the visitors here. In particular, I'd like to welcome Renee Ferguson. She's my daughter's boss. Colleague, senior colleague, shall we say. So that. And then I just want to celebrate Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. There we go.
Your job is done. Great job. So we're all going to sing Happy Special Day to Happy Birthday. Okay, you ready?
Special day to you. Happy special day to you. Happy special day, God bless you. Happy special day to you.
I also want to celebrate this. On Thanksgiving, we give thanks for all of creation, and this candle holder with 3 giraffes holding up our Christ candle was given to us by Sydney after her visit to Tanzania. So I want to acknowledge all of creation helping us as we light our Christ candle. Do we have a fan up there? Put it over on the piano. Run out. Okay, folks. Look.
There's more of them.
It's one of those days. Okay, this is one of those days where we use the power of the imagination, fire burning within us to light the Christ candle. And as we light the candle, we remember that this is our sacred fire. This is the sacred fire that has been burning since the beginning of the universe and now manifests itself in us here in this place where we acknowledge many peoples have lived. The Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the power of electricity and the fire that is stored in this battery. We live in a wonderful world, and we acknowledge this place, all the peoples that have lived in it, and we who are living in it now. May God bless us on this day when we celebrate God's creation and all its gifts.
Be to God.
God has given us breath to live and spirit to sing. Thanks be to God. God has gathered us into a community of care and worship. Let us worship God with love, thanksgiving, and praise. Our opening hymn is We Plow the Fields, a well-known hymn. Please sing with gusto. will say the words of our opening prayer together. Holy Spirit of God, you who are the root of our being, may we welcome your love, your joy, and your wisdom wherever they appear. We give you thanks for your life within us and around us. We ask for healing of our bodies and spirits and relationships, that we might be part of the healing of the whole world. This we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. And now we're going to say together the words that Jesus taught his disciples, and which we now call the Lord's Prayer. Together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And now, we're going to have a time with the children, and then after that, we will be having an anthem. Somehow or other, I missed that this got, I missed that it got missed in the bulletin, but we are going to have a glorious anthem, and it'll be explained to you. The congregation is actually a part of it. But children, right now, if you would come up and join me, right up here, please. Hi. Now, so I gave a name or a title to our time together this morning. I call it a circle of thanks, because in our lives, in connection with the sun, we go around a circle. Who are you seeing? You mean you say hello over here? Oh, okay. Sorry to draw attention to that. So, we live on a planet called Earth, right? And when you look and you see the sun rise, what do you think is happening? We're going to be reading a psalm here in church, and it talks about the sun the sun rises in the east, right? Is that the east? Okay. Rises in the east, and it goes around and around, and it sets in the west. And then it goes around, and the circle comes back in the east, and there's a circle. Like in this book, this is called The Circle of Our Days, and it starts with the sun. And then, I'm not going to read it all because it would take too long, but it's all about the wonderful things on the earth. I think we've read this before. But at the very end of the book, it's the nighttime. The moon. Now, does the sun really rise? It looks like it, doesn't it? But actually, you know what's going on? We found out that we are on a planet that is constantly spinning, right? It's constantly going around like this. And also it's going around like this. It's going around the sun. So we're on a planet that's spinning, and we're also on a planet that's going around the sun. The sun is like the very center of our life. And some people say, did you know that we actually eat the sun because the sun sends energy that gets turned by plants into food, and we eat animals too, some of us. The animals eat food. But all of it was originally created by the sun pouring its energy into the earth. And so there are ways in which we eat the sun. There's so much. The sun, we are so grateful for the sun. So every morning I try to go outside early in the morning, just before the sun rises. And I stand. Do you all stand with me? I stand, and let's face that way, okay? Because that's where the sun rose. So everybody face over there, okay? Let's imagine those walls aren't here. And we'll see the sun, if it's not hidden by clouds. But early in the morning, I will stand. So let's imagine that we're standing and waiting for the sun to rise. All we can see is a horizon. A line with hills and trees. And we're waiting for the sun. And the sun is going to come up. But really what's going on is we're standing on a planet that's moving. Right now we are. Right? Can you feel it? We are moving, and the sun, when it rises, actually is us turning towards the sun. Every morning I try to remember that, and it helps me to remember and give thanks for the sun every day of my life. And I hope maybe this little time will help you to do that too. And then, if you face this way, let's all face this way. So imagine the sun is going down. You know what's actually happening? Yeah, we're going backwards. Oh. Yeah. And the mystery of how we don't fall off, well, that's a whole other matter. Let's just say a little prayer, and then you're going to go be with your teachers, Ginger and Wendy, this morning. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for the sun. Thank you for your world. Thank you for Jesus. Amen. Yes? On we go. And now we're going to have the choral anthem. And are you going to introduce it, Bob? Okay.
Generally, we think of a church as being a place of second chances. But today, you will not get a second chance if you don't sing along. Because I have given up one of our great choristers to be on the PowerPoint, Sam. You're going to do it, right, Sam?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a big sacrifice for me. So you guys got it. So Cheryl is going to get you to stand at one point. Cheryl will probably... she'll get you to stand, and she's getting pretty good at this, so she could probably bring you in on the first verse, and right after the first verse is the second verse. But then you're going to have to stop for a while as we do the third verse. It's sort of softer, and then we've got a great big loud fourth verse that you have to sing along with.
This morning's scripture is Psalm 19. For the director of music, a Song of David. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the end of the world. In the heavens he has pitched a tent for the sun, which is like a bridegroom coming forth from his pavilion, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is hidden from his heat. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. Precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are sure and altogether righteous. They are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. They are sweeter than honey from the comb. By them is your servant warned. In keeping them there is great reward. Who can discern his errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgression. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer.
Now we're going to sing a hymn about Jesus, for whom the Psalms were a part of his spiritual tradition as well. So the hymn is Because Jesus Felt. Let's stand.
The wonderful contemporary Thanksgiving one. The choir knows this, so if you guys stand up.
Do we want to stand or should we have them sit?
So the choir's going to face them.
Okay.
But this is the brass is going to play the first verse here.
We'll sit. Thank you, God, for the way in which you reveal yourself to us in so many ways. In Jesus' name, amen. I chose that psalm for today out of a vast array of lectionary readings. It was actually one that most probably would be read in the Catholic Church. But I decided that it was very appropriate for Thanksgiving, for a time when we celebrate the whole creation and the ways in which we are fed and nurtured and cared for by the world that we live in. I'm particularly thankful today because in many mysterious ways God has brought me here to St. John's. I'm thankful that I work with many people, and today I wasn't really going to be preaching much about the revelation of God through Jesus Christ. But because of the hymn that Bob chose, and we just sang, I've been led to reflect, and I find this happening a lot in my experience here with you in St. John's. I'm being challenged to look again at my evangelical upbringing, to look again at teachings that for a while in my life I kind of steered away from. I am being encouraged to make the connection between a creation-centered spirituality, a spirituality of blessing, and the spirituality that I was raised with, which is about Jesus, how Jesus saves us, how Jesus makes us whole, how Jesus reveals to us the love of God in creation. And making a connection between creation and Jesus Christ is what I offer to you today. And the ways in which creation witnesses to the power of God alive in a human being named Jesus, and the way Jesus helps us to see and understand the power of God at work in the whole cosmos, the whole creation, the whole universe. I had an experience. I live in Huntsville. That's where my family is right now, and they're putting the turkey in the oven, and all kinds of things are happening while I'm with you. And I'll be driving back. If you'll remember, as people in Ontario, when the G8 happened here in Canada, and some of you may have gotten a little hot under the collar about all the money that got spent in Huntsville. We're still dealing with many of the repercussions of that because if something is built, it has to be maintained. So there are costs that go with that, but that's another story. One of the things that happened was there was a meeting of the G8 in Huntsville, and then plans changed and the G20 happened in Toronto. But in Huntsville there were all kinds of construction, and there was security. We had the world coming to us, and we knew that the focus of media would be on us, and we also knew that those who wanted to get a message out to the whole world would come to this place. That happens all over the world, right? If you need to let the world know about some issue of justice that needs attention, many people will create some kind of attention grabber for something like the G8. So we were expecting lots of protesters and activists. And the powers that be, in their wisdom, decided that there would be a free speech zone. There always is at these events, and they try to keep the protests under control, right? They provide a place where if you want to make a protest or want to make a speech about something, or you will come here and do it. And so they set aside a farmer's field, far away from Deerhurst, where the leaders were meeting. A farmer's field. Higgs was his name. And they set up a little computer, and if you wanted to say something to the leaders of the countries of the world, you could go to the field, and you could make your statement, or do your protest, or carry your banner, or do whatever you wanted. Most anybody that wanted to make a statement ignored the field altogether and went right downtown to the docks and to the center of town where things were happening, as any good protester would. Why would you go out to a field way out in the middle of nowhere? I went to that field. Because I wanted to hear what I didn't think that I was going to be a protester, but I wanted to see who would come, and I wanted to hear the voices that would be raised. And nobody came. Or so they said. And that's when Psalm 19 came into my focus. I stood in an empty field, and I saw a lake in the distance. I heard birds. I saw trees. There were some wild turkeys that went across at one point. And I realized there are voices here. There are voices here. We just can't hear them. There are voices here. Our ears are not attuned to hear them. We are people who are called by our scriptures to listen to unheard voices, or to listen to those who are speaking, our fellow creation, the voice of our creation, which is speaking, but which we cannot hear. They have a language, but we do not understand it. But we are called to listen, and we are called to try to understand. I believe that Jesus was one who listened. I made that connection. He talked about his death, which he knew was going to happen, because that happens to any protester. You get arrested, you get vilified, and if you're too dangerous, you get arrested and executed like Jesus was. But Jesus made those connections, and when he talked about his death, he made a connection with creation that all the people around him would understand. When you place a seed in the ground, it has to break open. The seed itself has to die in order for the life within to emerge. So Jesus understood the ways of life, the ways of the earth, the messages that come to us from the earth. Many people here do know that, do know them, and hear them in a very vital and vibrant way because you work with the earth. Biblical scholars think that this psalm, which if you'll notice in the beginning, it's, the heavens declare the glory of God, the earth and the heavens and the cosmos is declaring, showing forth, revealing God's glory, God's character, God's goodness. And then there's a whole lot, Beth, you will remember this, there's a whole lot about the law, the Torah, the the written text, the gift of the law, the text, the rules, the rules of life, but more about a revelation that comes to us through text. Originally through story, but to us through text, through the Word of God. And the scholars think that these are actually two songs that were brought together. Brought together within this songbook called the Psalms, so that we could see that the law is speaking about creation, and creation is pointing towards the law, which was all about how to live in creation. And so we have in Psalm 19 a coming together and a dancing together and a singing forth together of two revelations. And I'm reminded of my first Sunday here, where it was camping Sunday, and whoa. But it was very, very clear to me. We had chicks, remember? We had little chickens, and they were hatching right in that moment. And it spoke so much to me of the two scriptures, the two revelations of God that we honor. There may be others, but we, as a people, have this in our tradition, which is the scriptures and the message and the revelation that comes to us from creation, the little chicks hatching away, and the revelation that comes to us through our cultural tradition and through our religious tradition, through the Bible and all that it means to us. Comes to us from our ancestors. So, I want to just wrap this up with a personal story. I'm a missionary's daughter, and somehow or other it missed my parents' understanding and attention that if a child is brought up in one particular country, in a place, they're going to fall in love with that place. And if you uproot them and bring them over here to another place, there might be some sadness that might happen. My parents' lives changed, and I left India, and I did not know that I was going to be leaving India. And I felt completely uprooted and upheaved from the place that I loved to another very strange place here in Canada. Completely alien culture to this little missionary's daughter, Canada. Somewhat similar to what many refugee people and displaced people must be going through. I, for the longest time, felt lost and uprooted and disconnected and cut off from what had nurtured me and raised me. And I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye to that whom I loved, the places I loved. I didn't have a chance. And so there was this deep sadness in me and great mourning and grief and a cut-offness. And then our family returned to India on a big, costly pilgrimage because we took our teenage children. So we all went, and we were there for a little over 3 weeks. We didn't go to the Taj Mahal. We went to the places where I grew up, and I was able to introduce them to the places I love and loved, and the places that nurtured me as a child. And something happened to me. I realized, oh, that which is here in India and that nurtured my soul is here in Canada. and nurtures my soul here too. The presence and the being and the reality that I had fallen in love with and that had been nurturing me all along was the earth herself. And the earth is everywhere. We live on an incredible planet, and the places that I introduced my family to were pine trees with that smell of the pine needles on the ground, rivers, mountains. I realized, oh my God, you have been with me all along, and I did not know it. I felt cut off, but actually I have been nurtured and cared for all along. And that connection with the earth is what I'm learning is the message of Jesus. We have an incredible story about God with us as us. It's an incredible story about being earth creatures, about being of the earth. And I'll tell you more about that later, but I'm very grateful for the connection. May you be blessed on this Thanksgiving Day, and no matter where you go, you know, there you are. God bless you. And now we will take up our offering as grateful people on this beautiful Thanksgiving Day. Gracious God, we thank you for your wonderful creation. All that we have comes from you. Receive now these gifts as a sign of our desire to be your people and to join with you in your work in the world of healing and hope and justice and peace. In Jesus' name, Amen. Let us pray. Please be seated. Gracious God, our hearts are full of thanksgiving. We thank you for all the goodness in our lives, for family and friends, for opportunities, for children, and for good places to live on this earth. We turn our hearts and minds now towards those who are suffering on our planet. All of the extreme weather events that are happening in our world and have happened and people are struggling from. All of the violence in the hearts and minds of those who have caused havoc in our world through rampant, random violence. Gracious God, we ask that you bring healing to those who are suffering. Bring healing to those who are missing loved ones. And bring comfort and hope to those who are living with the result of violence across our planet. And on this day when we celebrate the fruits of the earth, we think of places on this planet where people do not have enough to eat. May we be a part of reaching out to them. These and many prayers in the hearts of your people, O God, we offer to you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Our closing hymn is Now Thank We All Our God. Let us stand. this place, filled with thanksgiving. And may the blessing of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer of all life, be with us now and always. Amen.